Hello and welcome at the Waters and Waterworld School. Today I want to continue the series about what can go wrong with your indoor waterfall project. And today's topic is planning. What can go wrong with planning? Last week we talked about what can go wrong with water flow, what can go wrong with pumping. Today, what can go wrong with planning? Number one is if you don't do planning, actually you're going to have to use like 10 times more time to process and execute the project, because one 10 minutes planning will save you 1 hour execution, or maybe it's even like 1 hour planning will save you 10 hours execution. I just talked with one of my subcontractors who is doing installations here in Germany. This is the third installation. The first two went pretty smooth. We had some good preparation, but this third one, where he's at the moment now, he had to go there multiple times because of a lack of planning. And well, let's say like that. So I did my part. I did plan the whole indoor waterfall, but lack of planning the installation. And this is really a little bit frustrating, because one challenge in that case was that the customer or that there was no console prepared, because the installations had to be done at a high level, and they had to use ladders instead of having a proper scaffolding. I think it's called scaffolding, whatever. Okay, so planning is super important. And what can go wrong when you do planning? Number one is communication. I would say missing communication and not complete communication, and then not documented communication, which means you talk with somebody, you say, okay, we will do it like that. But then 3 months later, you don't remember what you've been talking about. So it's important, when you do communicate project details, make a summary of the call, write them to all participants, and say, this was our today's meeting. Here's a summary. We agreed on the following points, because then a few weeks later or months later, you will know what you talked about. So communication is really essential. And that leads to this time schedule. And what can go wrong is that your time schedule is too tight. You don't have enough buffer, because what happens in projects on sites is that some of the other craftsmen or suppliers, they might have delays. And if they delay, for example, the glass plates, it makes no sense to go to the site or to make an appointment if it's not really sure and secure that the glass plates will be there before you go there. Okay, so then what can go wrong in your planning if you don't make a really complete planning regarding all the surrounding elements and regarding the covers, you might get visible areas left which you don't want to be visible. So it means ugly areas or ugly things or not so beautiful things might be visible, like glue, or like connections, or like hoses, pipes, cables, whatever. So that can go wrong. Then inaccessible areas also, which means when you plan all the components, they should be accessible with not too much effort and with not too much components that have to be rebuilt in order, for example, just to change a pump. And then there is one pretty unpleasant thing, is if there are too many changes in your planning, which means parties of the involved projects, they change materials, they change sizes. There's always going to be some kind of changes, but sometimes there are major changes, and then everything needs to be set up again. So before going in deep with your planning, do a clarification of the major points, because otherwise you're going to make a planning for one kind of variation, and then it turns out, number one, it cannot be performed, or somebody doesn't like it. So yeah, that can go wrong, and this is also pretty time consuming. Then what can also go wrong is the operation mode. If you don't plan it properly, you might have unnecessary efforts and work keeping your system clean and working. So this also needs to be covered in the planning. How is it going to be operated? How often is it going to operate it? Where do you turn it on and off? How often do you turn it on and off? When do you want to have maintenance? Who is going to do the maintenance? Then another point that can go wrong is missing approval in your planning. You plan something and then you execute it, but you haven't received the approval for that. Then another thing is wrong timing. I'm sorry, I don't remember why I wrote this down here, because I have to finish this live video because I have another appointment in 1 minute, so I will go through this fast. Then wrong dimensions, of course, that can, by the way, also happen if you do import export from other programs. So it's always important to check dimensions double or triple. And you also have to plan a water change. It should be easily done. So thank you for watching today. Please subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment.